thank you guys for joining Heal. Today we're going to be talking about the 10 tips for overcoming depression and anxiety. And we have Lisa and Aubrey with us today. So you guys wave, say hello.
Hello.
Hi, y'all.
How's it going?
Yep. And so I'm going to kick it off to Lisa to start off the episode. How about that?
Okay. Hi, guys. Yeah, today we are going to be talking about 10 tips to overcoming depression and anxiety. So raise your hand. Of course, we can't see you if you've ever had this issue. It's, something that we can't get away from, stress. It's ever present in our lives. But what if we could mitigate that stress or somehow to prepare our bodies by using methodologies and modalities, food, meditation, use all of these wonderful support systems that we have. And I think that was something 17 years ago that I was so excited to hear about, that, wow, you mean there's a support system here to help me be healthy? So I was so excited to hear about that. And because, stress affects us, the mind, the body, and the spirit, and our behavior, i.e. depression, anxiety, in many ways, everyone experiences stress differently. Mm-hmm. Each of us has a unique recovery zone, whether that's physical, psychological, and our recovery zone depends on several factors. It's critical to develop strategies, integrate methodologies, and incorporate our wellness toolkit. And I always ask my clients, or if I'm teaching my students or attendees, if it's a training, what is in your wellness toolkit? Do you have one? So that's where I'm starting to, create those systems for people and those tools by finding out what it is and where to start with them. That's another thing. People are so, I think, overwhelmed, who wouldn't be in today's society with so many things with our cell phones and our computers, that we're overwhelmed with all of this that's going on. And it's really difficult to hone in our thoughts on just one thing at a time, because we're just multitasking, and that's supposedly what we're good at. But what I want to do, and what these ladies want to do here, is to help you build that system and to give you the resources you need to do that, and to help us understand our own individualized stress, the load, and what that is, and following what we're going to be talking about can increase stress tolerance or mitigate stress, diminish that load. So you want me to start off with the meditation and yoga, or should we just kind of bump it? I've been talking. How about somebody else start off with the meditation and yoga?
Well, I love meditation and yoga.
All right.
So, I recommend people doing meditation and yoga at least 10 to 15 minutes a day. And I know it's challenging to do meditation for a lot of people because their mind is so busy, and that is a stressful sign. So I always tell people to listen to sound healing. What the key is just kind of getting your mind to be used to being silent. And a good way to let your mind go, I call it releasing pressure of thought, is listening to sound healing. Anything from your favorite song. A lot of people think it has to be like a spiritual sound. And that's to people that when I very first started learning how to meditate, I was listening to Mariah Carey songs. And her early days.
That's so cool.
So I think it's the song that I listened to was Make It Happen. So I was listening to Make It Happen as a meditation song. Because she sings it so full-hearted. And another one was Michael Jackson as well. I listened to a lot of Michael Jackson's early music as well. So I tell people all the time, don't get locked in to the spiritual aspect of meditation, where people think that it's not them. It's not ethnically them. Remember, people are much more free spirited when they listen to something they love. And
Yeah.
I tell them, I said,
Yeah.
I don't care if it's you know, to a heavy metal band, to your favorite opera singer. Trust me, listen to the sound that you recognize the most to help release stress and to help free up thought. So if you're in a stressful situation, listening to a favorite song will remove your thought from the stress.
Mhm.
And that is I always tell people that's the first key to meditation. So when I used to kind of ease into it, I tell people I listen to my favorite song. It's 3 minutes listening to your favorite song, and
Mm.
and allowing the music or the words to carry you out. Your mind starts to become more imaginative, more open to thought, free thought when you
Mm.
listen to music. So I recommend that to anybody who has a challenging time meditating, not to get locked in on being silent like a Buddhist monk. They're very zen and they're
Or listen
quiet.
to a gong or something like that that is
Yeah,
totally far removed from what you'd normally listen to.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I tell people, listen, like, think about how you act when you get into a car. You close your door and your favorite song comes on, and you're kind of like jamming,
Yeah.
kind of giving you a
Okay.
whole bunch of ideas.
Yeah.
That's the
Mhm.
kind of mindset, energy, the thought energy that I want you to have. It's so free. Ideas are just flowing and coming to you. That is a form of meditation. When you get used to allowing your mind to free itself through music, then you can learn to turn the volume down
Mm.
of your music,
Mhm.
and make Mariah Carey lower and lower and lower till it's silent. Then your mind is still going into that, I call it that musical high
Yeah.
of free thought, and that's where you're going to be able to kind of get peaceful into your oneness. That means all the thoughts in your day running through your mind, all the worries of job, people saying, sometimes people stress because of relationship.
Mhm.
All what it should have could have will flow through you
Yeah.
until that it's nothing less, because we got to empty the mind, and it's full of thought. So we got to empty it out, all your to-do lists, your kids, your bills. Let it
Yeah.
all flow out. Don't stop the flow of it
Mhm.
until it's no longer an issue. And it could be, some of you could take you 2 weeks, three
Yeah.
weeks to empty out all the woulda, shoulda, couldas.
I say find what resonates with you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I tell people, allow music to be the escape. So
Mhm.
that's one tip,
Yeah.
and I recommend no more than 3 minutes. Favorite song, start with that, and then turn the volume down to the point where you don't need that song to kind of let your mind go free. So
Mm.
that's my
I like
tip
that a
for
lot
you.
because we're so used, many of us are so used to like going and like years ago, if I look back at myself 5 years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I was gonna sit still. But I
Yeah.
can't tell you, over the course of years of just getting more comfortable with, okay, slow it down, chill out. Like I crave it now. I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I need some time to sit back in, like, even maybe I'll listen to some instrumental music, I've got a thing on Spotify right now. It's like sweater weather instrumentals.
I love
And it's
you.
real cute.
Right.
But so it's like a lot of like, guitar, piano, this, that, and the other, all instrumental. And I did that for a long time, but like now often, like I will just listen to silence and just be like, there's nothing else going on right now. It's all
Yeah.
here,
Yeah, it is.
so
It is right here. And I tell people
yeah.
that all the time, just keep what you like and just turn it down to a point where you can barely hear it, but it's still the same song. And then
Mhm.
allow the little hint of the word to kind of hit your mind, so that mind just drifts off and your
Mm.
mind will open up. And it will help you solve problems too.
Yes.
So a lot of us
Like,
can't see past our fear and our anxiety.
Yeah.
And so when you free yourself, it will allow you to solve a lot of issues. A lot of issues you will let go because it's not even pointless. It's pointless to even think of it. Allow it to stress you out. But that is a good one that I like to do. So I
Mhm.
highly recommend that one. And then easing into the more, I call it spiritual aspect meditations down the road. But do that for about a month. The music part for about a month or two. And I did it standing up too. A lot of people thought I was sitting in a chair still. No, I was a moving meditation. I was standing up with my favorite song and allow my mind to escape.
Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
and then after a while, I learned how to set still. But it took me a while. It was not quick.
Yeah.
It took me a couple of months to.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah,
And I just started with I was using the Insight timer, Waves of Peace. It's like 46 minutes, but I didn't always listen to the 46 minutes. But if I and had like the musical piano with that, and you could hear the waves, and that it took me several months to really just begin to let go and to feel that lightness. I will tell you, at first it scared me when the lightness came in, because it was similar to, I've had vertigo in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So it was similar to that. And I thought, oh no, I'm having a vertigo episode.
No.
It wasn't. It was my mind letting go, and just the lightness that I felt was similar to that. And then now it's like I welcome, because I know exactly what that feeling. And again, identifying how you feel, our internal guidance system, those feelings are going to let us know if we're in the right direction or we need to try something else.
Yeah, and I tell that to people a lot, that we got to remember, I know a lot of people are really focused on how everybody else does it to connect to spirituality and stress.
Yep.
But we got to keep in mind that they're their own unique being, and that we got to keep them focused on what they are already naturally comfortable with, and not pushing them outside the zone. So that's why I tell people that I like to teach self-healing. For that aspect, you got to learn your own way to heal yourself.
Yes.
And instead of trying to be an example or be like everybody else and listening to these tuning forks, which I love, but you got to grow into that.
Yeah.
You know. So that's another. In yoga is another aspect, because we said yoga is the number one list. I did yoga when I was 18 years old, but the key fact is I didn't just jump into yoga. I started stretching first, because a lot of us are not yoga hits either. You know, a lot of people are not yoga people. I tell people, learn the slow flow of stretching, stretching in a very, still getting favorite songs, stretching out to your favorite song, and just allowing your mind to free up, and then easing into yoga positions later on, maybe 3-4 months down the road. But start with stretching first, and then ease into the yoga. Slow movements is key, and nothing pushed. Because you got to
being a fitness coach, you know, that's one of the biggest things that, you know, I'll overcome with somebody right out of the bat is like, okay, so how much do you stretch now? You know, and that's not meant to be a judgmental question. It's just, okay, give me feedback. What you doing?
Yeah.
And the result is usually most people don't stretch as much as they feel like their body is asking for even. Yeah. So taking that like slow down of like, okay, well, here's a foam roller, you know, let's spend 10-15 minutes a day just when you roll out of bed in the morning. Wake your body up that way, you know, and it's a great time to connect the mind and body and say, okay, breathe a little bit before you go off to the races and, you know, go into high anxiety environments.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was tip number one. So that was a very good one there.
Good.
And of course our next one is the outdoor time. So who likes to kick off that one? The outdoor time. Anyone? Because I can tell you mine.
You want to kick off and I'll follow up?
Okay, well, for me, I never went outside. I was not an outdoors girl. Anybody who knows me in my circle will probably start laughing, because I would actually scream when I go outside. Don't let me see a bee, a flying wing bird, insect. I am completely done. So I had to kind of learn to go outside. And I actually, if I didn't have my dog, I probably wouldn't have gone outside very much. So now that I go outside 3 times a day, I'm like loving going outside. Now I don't scream at every bug that walks by. So I tell people, you know, I mean, now I'm happy to walk
also
outside.
Get the bee.
Right? Me and bees are not friends. Let's say that.
I agree.
Yeah, I will scream in a minute. But hanging out with them and going hiking, I always liked nature, just didn't like the bugs. I always liked nature because I thought it was very pretty. And when I started going through nature trails, and those some of like this one in Williamsburg that I like going to is about maybe 2 or 3 miles. It's paved. You can ride your bike or walk the pave because I don't like walking on. Like I said, me and nature is not friends. So me walking the pavement through woods, it's like yay! And
Mhm.
I actually started to enjoy it. I actually started feeling very one with nature and being near water. So I highly recommend it. At least small dose at 15 minutes. Again, so I say everything in small intramurals. So like 15 minutes of being outside, starting your car up in the morning, taking a brisk walk while your car warms up, and then coming back to your car and going to work, like straight to work, so your mind is not in the zone of hustle.
Yeah.
It does to me help relieve stress. Like I work at home now, but I'm getting phone calls back to back to back to back. And when that break comes on, and I walk outside with my dog, every 15-minute break I have, I take my dog and walk my dog outside. I am so happy to be outside.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. I think it's a good way to free up your mind and stress and get away from the environment that could be a stressful environment. So
Yeah.
that's for me. I mean, I don't know anybody else who likes walking and hiking. I'm starting to like hiking now.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend seeing nature, and it's free. Going to a park and walking through the
Yeah.
woods
It
is
is free.
priceless.
I
It doesn't
agree.
cost you-
I
it
agree.
doesn't cost you
As a child, I was always out in the woods, and like I didn't participate in like any extracurricular sports or anything like that. So I wasn't like this like active kid. But in the terms of the organized sense, but I had a mountain bike, and I always loved like going into the woods on the bike and exploring different places, and just getting around. Oh, what's that? Oh, there's a creek over there, like let's go check that out, and you just see like beauty, and it's refreshing and it's rejuvenating, and I think
It's super
like
grounding.
as a
Super
child,
grounding.
like that
Yeah.
helped.
Mhm.
Well, it's also good because, and I recommend to my clients that are having trouble sleeping that they're at least getting out 20 minutes walking towards the sun, not with sunglasses on, and not directly looking at the sun, but allowing that sun to come in through the eyes, because that's what actually fills up the pineal gland. So, and that's how we secrete the melatonin at night, which is our sleep hormone. So you want to fill that up with daytime light. And so that's why I always suggest walking towards the sun, because I can get that through my eyes, and it is going to help to fill that up so that I can secrete that at night. We're day and night creatures. And as dusk starts to settle, we start to feel a little sleepy, and that's natural. Unfortunately, the time we sleep has shifted. And what used to be, the middle of the night, 12 midnight, is now the time some people are going to bed. So that has shifted. It's not just the sunlight, but it's the temperature. And that helps to control our body's environment and to tell us time to go to sleep. So as the earth cools, if we're in a home or we're in an environment where that's temperature controlled, then our body's not getting the cues. Hey, it's time to get sleepy and time to go to bed. So the getting outside is huge. Grounding, again, you've got those free electrons helping to mitigate that stress, that oxidative stress in the body.
And I got two tips for that too.
Say again?
So keep going.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, if you're literally got your feet on the ground, or you've got your hands in the ground and you're gardening, then you are getting those free electrons, and it is helping to repair the free radical damage that's in our body.
Yeah,
So,
two things about that. When you go outside, and I learned this from a pranic healer. I believe he's from Malaysia. He talks about when it's cold and you're not able to go outside barefoot, because a lot of us have illness or emotional stress in our body and it can't touch the ground because we have rubber soles on our feet. He says that you can do an earthing process where some people, and I laugh at this a lot because this is a DIY, like do it yourself. You got to get a box, put some dirt in it.
Yeah.
And some people have actually gotten good and actually made grow grass in this little box and actually put their feet on it. Some people, I call it the corporate mystics, those people who are pretty much billionaires at this point. I've seen some in a recent article having earthing placed in their home. Like it's a pretty nice sized wall that's all dirt and the green moss is on the wall, and they put their feet on it to de-stress from the daily pressures of life. And I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. I know they cost them a couple $1,000s, but when I look at it, I said, oh my God, you can walk inside your home, touch the ground, your feet is bare, and the water's flowing, and the plants is all over the walls. I mean, it was so zen. I was like, I feel like everybody should have an earthing wall or grounding wall in their home if they can't get outside.
And I think, I mean, even more simple than that, you know, just having, I mean, you'll see within my space here, all these plants that I've got. So I was stressed out and processing some past trauma last Saturday. And when I came home, what I did was I took care of the plants.
Yeah.
And that was so rejuvenating, you know, like touching them, working with them. I had some that I needed to plant in pots and that kind of thing. And just, you know, so I'm like, as much nature as I can bring in here in my home it makes me very happy.
Yes. And when it gets warm in the spring, I recommend people laying on the ground for 15 minutes. But make sure your face is not directly in the sun, you know, like your eyes at the sun, but definitely lay down, like you're taking a sunbathing technique. You can be fully clothed, of course, but you at least look at the sky, laying down for about 15 minutes so you can reconnect to the earth.
Or, you know, talk to me. I have a grounding mat, you know.
Oh, yeah, you do. Talk about your grounding mat. That's kind of a cool thing.
You know, it's really interesting. I've been using it probably about a year now through a company that I work with called Me Ken. And it's interesting. I was on medicine for my heart with the thyroid issue and propranolol. And I really was looking at, okay, you know, how can I help my body to heal even more than it has already healed? And I looked into getting the grounding. I went ahead and purchased that. And I thought, let's see what I can do to help my body, to give it the support system that it needs to maybe try and get off this medicine. Because unfortunately, guess what the propranolol does? It interferes with the pineal gland. So it was keeping me from sleeping. And I had really worked very hard at my sleep to get a good sleep at that point. So I just started using it every night when I would go to bed, and I would lay on it all night long, getting those grounding effects. And I actually have a little short video I can send to people if they're interested. And it's called The Grounding Movie. And in that, they're talking about, one woman had MS and she was literally in a wheelchair. Talk about how she got out of the wheelchair just by using a grounding mat every night when she went to bed. Think about it. That's when your body's repairing and rejuvenating and replenishing and recalibrating and making new cells, you know. So again, I just started using that each night, and I'm looking into the Ayurvedic herbs and using that as part of my protocol as well. And hey, I'm just grateful that I've been able to lower the heart rate and be able to sleep. And I'm now seeing where my thyroid, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little bit, it's peeling now, where it has literally cleansed and detoxed. It's coming out of my skin. So it's powerful. You know, when it is nice outside, I'm going to get outside and take my socks and shoes off for sure.
Yeah, lay down for 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Lay down in it and just love it. Yeah, but when I can't do that, and it was cold or it was raining, we had so much rain last week. It was great to be able to sit there and get on my computer. And then I don't have to worry about all of this interference, this man-made electrical magnetic fields too, by the way, that the grounding is helping to negate that damage. So I have my grounding mat on me, and then I have my laptop in my lap.
We got to talk about the 5G next time. Next time we may do a session on.
We do need to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna definitely make that another topic. That was a good one.
Yeah,
So,
we should.
So how about restorative rest? Number 3.
Well, I kind of
I
got
think
into that
you need to
already.
start with that one.
I kind of got into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm the queen of
you did.
meditation. So, I mean, restorative rest. I mean, you do need rest, and you know, Lisa, this is your topic. You know, for me, I don't sleep as much because of meditation. I got to figure out, because I feel like meditation is sleep if you do it deeply. So I do meditation for 4 or 5 hours a day most of the time, and when I do that, I do sleep less, but I'm never tired. The tiredness comes from when I don't prepare for it the day before, and then I feel this kind of like, oh, I'm a little lethargic. But you can definitely share some tips. I am the new queen of napcations. So
Yes, you are. I love it. I've been using that, by the way.
Because now I take naps all throughout the day now. Like, I'm going to be taking a nap later.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're talking about meditation, and you're right. If someone is meditating a lot, they probably don't need as much sleep because they're already getting into the theta, or the deep wave sleep. And that's that reparative, that restorative part, where again we're making new blood cells. We're making the white cells and the red blood cells, and the body is repairing. I was actually talking in my class the other night at U of R, where one of my students, and he kept saying, you know, can you help me out? I seem to keep re-injuring my knee. He was we ran track for the track team, and I said, you know, Jonathan, are you re-injuring that knee? Because I'm looking at his sleep journals, by the way, because they have to chart, you know, their sleep and what kind of sleep they're getting and how much, and how they feel, you know, throughout the day. I said, I'm looking at your journals, and I'm wondering if you never really healed that knee to begin with. And he's like, that's a question. So you're saying that maybe I'm not getting maybe the right foods, yeah, and I'm not getting the proper rest to help that repair in the first place. So it seems like you're re-injuring it because it's still bothering you. It should have healed. In other words, he had given it plenty of time, according to the doctor, that it should have healed by now. And I don't think it was, because he didn't, you know, have the tools again, or his kit or his system in place to help that. Something else that happens when we don't have that consistent sleep time, and again, consistency. I wake up about the same time each day. I go to bed about the same time each night. And that screws up our hormones. They're all over the place. It ages us faster, increases chronic illness. It drains our focus. We got foggy brain. The hormones like the melatonin I was talking about, they influence our sleep-wake cycle. So getting plenty of sunshine, foods that stimulate that melatonin can help us sleep better, like tart cherries. That's a great you know, tool to have in your kit. That, you know, I've got all these things that I can do to Sheila, you were talking about chamomile tea. That's wonderful in helping us to create that somnogenic, or that sleep enhancing.
Yeah, because I work nights now. It has been helpful. I gotten to the point where when I work, when it gets to 8 p.m., because I stop work at midnight, I start drinking the tea around 10 o'clock, and it actually helps me sleep faster. Like, I can go from getting off from midnight and being asleep within an hour of after getting off work, because my mind is going at 100 miles per hour. That tea has been working every night.
It really calms you down. Yeah.
And I need it, because if not, I don't go sleep till like 2 in the morning. So
that's awesome. So that kind of leads into number 4, which is healing food.
Why don't you go ahead? I'll bounce it to you.
So my biggest thing is, okay, you know, how much nutrient dense foods can you choose over the ones that are high caloric, you know, nutrient, not dense, you know, foods. So, you know, the things like the dark leafy greens. Sheila, you and I were talking about this just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Is, you know, instead of iceberg lettuce, how about kale? You know, if you're talking about, hey, I want to eat healthier, okay, let's pick foods that are the most nutrient dense. So you're getting your vitamins and minerals from them, and getting more optimal energy from that as well. And that, you know, that doesn't mean that any one food is necessarily bad. So I always like to have that conversation too, is like, carbs aren't bad.
How you eat
That's not bad. Say it again. What'd you say?
I said how you eat it makes it bad.
Bag of potato chips. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Cheetos, you know.
Eat the whole bag.
You know, but if someone's like, if you're depleted at the end of the day, you know, and you're like, man, I had a rough day at work, go home, what are you going to grab? What is your go-to? What do you have in the pantry? Are you keeping things like Cheetos and stuff in there that's like marketed as comfort food?
Yes.
Right?
Or I deserve it food. Ooh.
Yeah, but it makes you feel horrible. Like I got Oreos right now, and I'm eating it, and I have to eat. I'm like, why did I do that? What's going on?
Right. And I used to love Oreos. Love. Big love.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's programmed to make you believe, like when you eat it, you feel better. I'm like, I think they make us think that it's going to make us feel better, but it does not. It's just a program that's been instilled that this food is a comfortable food, a happy food. And we go through those things that make us think we're happy. Potato will make you feel happy while eating it.
Yeah.
Think, you know,
Well, it does.
Snack is happy time, right?
It's an immediate feel good because of sugar and
Dopamine.
basically sugar. Yes.
I'm addicted to sugar right now, so I'm like, oh my God. I gotta do a detox big time.
You gotta go detox.
30 minutes to 2 hours later, how does that actually make you feel?
Well,
Is that actually supporting your end goal of, hey, I want to be healthy, I want to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, you might feel good in the moment, but it's that instant gratification and it's fleeting.
Well,
so how can you make healthier choices?
Yeah, and the dopamine has, you know, sugar's been linked to having the same effects as cocaine on the brain.
Yes.
So it's a dopamine high. That's why the child goes, you know, and then they're bouncing all over the room, and then they want more sugar because they love that high.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, make sure they still always follow their authentic self, but try to choose healthier choices. Well, still being themselves. Like I like Thai food, and you know, so I got into like
curry.
Yeah, so I like Buddha bowls. I make my own Buddha. I make everything my spin on it, but healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so,
And it's not hard to do that.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's just a little bit of work to like figure out, okay, well, what's that made out of? Okay, well, how can I make that a little bit differently? And I mean, it's kind of like when we were talking about meditation. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's not going to completely change everything overnight.
No.
But you can start learning and making small steps towards that.
Right. And it's still eating the way you feel to be yourself. You know, because I always tell people, you know, our culture, our background, especially me from the southern area, fried food.
Yeah, well, me too. That's my mother used to cook with the the fat, you know, from the ham hock.
But now I'm finally easing away from that and eating a little bit more. Okay, I like these type of food, but let's see if I can make it healthy. So that's my recommendation, because I ain't gonna lie,
Well,
It's
making it fun, I think is part of the challenge, making it fun. And we have a friend of ours, I think we all know her, Laurel Herman, and she talks about putting music on, by the way, putting music that really, and music while you cook. And she's given me some of her recipes to help me with my challenges with the autoimmune. And, it's a guideline, because I have a lot of people saying, oh, I'm on this diet and I'm on that diet. And I'm like, guys, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Change. Yeah, that's what the program did. I
Thank
think
you.
it's the mindset.
It is not, and I don't like diet because the first 3 letters spell die.
I have not heard that, but I got you.
I mean, so it's a lifestyle. So if I want, it's like my husband went out the other night because he needed to get some milk. And he comes home and he's trying to hide it. I know exactly what he's doing. He's gone out and he bought the milk, but he also bought a whole thing of the little ice cream with the Nutty Buddies and everything in.
I knew it was ice cream.
And his comment to me was, I deserve it. Isn't that interesting? So that's where we get into the emotions. And are you emotional eating here? Are you eating to live or living to eat?
Well, what are we connecting to when we eat it? Like always, the people, it feels like a kid. You feel like a kid.
Yeah.
It's very carefree. It's
The
a happy feeling. Why are we trying to use the spoon to be happy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So figure out if there is emotional baggage tied to this. If there are, hey, I could help you with that. Sheila can help you with that. Yep. So let's get rid of that baggage first. And then, it was so funny because I was doing really well and I was taking all these supplements. I'm doing really good. And I was so excited with myself about 10 years ago, and I was doing a good job. And I went in to get something and I pulled out a bagel and I looked at the bagel and I went, do I really want to eat this? And I thought, no, I really don't want to eat this, because it's loaded with carbohydrates, by the way. I could have eaten half of it, and I thought, well, I could have a bagel or I can have an apple. I think I'll have the apple. And the glycemic index, apples have a lot of glucose in them. Sometimes I cut it in half and have the half now, half later. Same with a banana, a lot of glucose, a lot of sugar. It's natural and it's a fruit, but it's still got a lot of sugar in it. And it's going to raise my blood sugar up. So I want to keep it even keel. So maybe cut that in half, maybe have some raspberries instead. They're lower on the glycemic index, even lower than blueberries, which I love blueberries, but I'm going to maybe have some raspberries instead. So it's mindful eating is what it is. And really, is this something that my body needs? Does it have the essential minerals in it that my body needs? Well, maybe it doesn't. Well, let's look at that, making sure they're essential, because your body needs them. You don't make them. So let's look at those and let's see what's going on with your body. And does your body need vitamin D3? Mine does, because I
just went to I got my mom on the vitamin D, and they have one that's like 10,000 milligrams, but you don't take once a week because that's a week supplement. It's a whole week. You only take one, and that's it for the week, right? So she takes it her mom says take every Monday, that particular vitamin D. And you can definitely tell a difference. And I think I need vitamin D because it actually helps also to absorb nutrients. And for most everybody else who's not is always feeling fatigue or not getting the nutrients, that vitamin D, 10,000 milligrams once a week. Don't overdo it. Trust me.
Well, you can
help to absorb the nutrients.
You can overdo it, by the way. I mean, I didn't know that, by the way. And they were checking my blood work, and my vitamin D levels were extremely high.
Yeah, you're only supposed to take it once a week, and you watch what foods. There's also has a lot of vitamin D in it. Mm-hmm. So when we did it, she did improve tremendously by taking it to help absorb the good nutrients in her food.
And what I'll do too is I'll muscle test to see if the body needs it, if it doesn't need it. And I surrogate test for people. So we could look at a list of your foods. I did that for a client last week. We went through a list of foods of what her body said yes to and what her body said no to. It's not a permanent no. It's just right now. just to get
Yeah.
the body back into balance. It's
Mhm.
saying no to that right now. So
And I,
let's,
I, reckon, I think it's a really good one when you say that to just see what their body needs for the moment during this time phrase. Yeah.
in this
It's gonna
time
change.
period, because it's going to change just as I change, just as my body's changing. My thyroid is some, right now kind of in charge. So I'm listening to that, and what does it need, and does it need the omegas? And it does need the omega. Well, what kind of omegas? Let's muscle test and see which ones that it needs. Let's see if it needs zinc. Zinc is powerful. Let's see if it
That's
needs
another one. Yeah.
iodine. And guess what made the most difference with my thyroid? Iodine.
Yeah.
Huge.
You told me about that before.
Yeah. We're so
So that's-
iodine depleted. They took it out of our salt. People aren't doing shellfish a lot. They're not doing fish because they're scared about the mercury. So they're
I'm scared of the
scared.
mercury.
So they're not getting that iodine. Or people don't like, seaweed. Dulse. My friend who's from Canada loves dulse, and that has that in it as well. So making sure that you're getting the right amount of iodine, because we're iodine depleted, and that's why we're seeing, I'm looking at the studies, this is not just coming from Lisa Hazelgrove, but I'm looking at the studies and seeing that we're so iodine depleted. That's why you're seeing a lot of problems with the thyroid right now.
Mm. Yeah, I think that also, and I think that could be like a more in-depth discussion that we continue.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe in another discussion. But I think that also leads into, and Lisa, if you want to head it off, number 5 is Ayurveda.
Yes, very exciting. I've been looking at the Ayurvedic herbs and roots, and if you're kind of new to the understanding of Ayurvedic medicine, it's over 500 years old. Excuse me, 5,000. I dropped a zero. In the Indian subcontinent, and they use like turmeric, cumin, cinnamon, cardamom, clove. These spices, that they're staples of the Ayurvedic diet. They can help reduce inflammation. They can fire up digestion.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones that I'm actually doing right now is astragalus. And
I'm taking astragalus. It's a big improvement. I've been taking it as well.
yeah.
I know it's an immediate difference within 5-10 minutes of taking it. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
and again, let's muscle test, guys. Let's don't just start jumping on the bandwagon. Oh, Lisa said to take this. No, I didn't. I said, let's figure out what your body needs. So there are many benefits, and one of them was it helps strengthen the blood vessels, improve blood circulation. It colds and flu, so it really helps support the immune system. It's got those antioxidants that are fighting that free radical damage that's running amok in my body, because I have 3 autoimmune issues that I'm dealing with right now. So again, now ashwagandha is another good one, but every time I would muscle test ashwagandha, I got a no. So, but it's decreasing glucose toxicity. That's probably why your body likes it, Sheila. And it influences the fat breakdown, the production of insulin. So it's just, and it improves the skin. It's really interesting. I've been using the astragalus right here, where my body was detoxing from my thyroid, and now it's starting to heal. I take the astragalus tincture, and I just put it right on there. It was red, by the way, and it was oozing, because again, it was just, stuff was coming out. And I thought, how in the world can I help this? And I muscle tested. I said, should I put the astragalus on? I got a yes. So something like that. The turmeric, you want to activate the curcumin in the turmeric. So the way to do that is with pepper or adding cinnamon. I don't like pepper in my oatmeal. So I do turmeric and cinnamon in my oatmeal together to help activate that curcumin in there. That's such a very high antioxidant. So it's looking at, again, they call it an Ayurvedic diet, but it really is a lifestyle, and finding out exactly what my body needs, and helping. Or the adaptogens. Right now I'm doing, we were talking about earlier, the licorice root, and
Ugh,
that's
It's
powerful.
good. I love it.
that sounds
Yeah,
nasty.
I mean,
Sorry, I couldn't hold that one in.
well, it's what we call an adaptogen. So it's helping the body to adapt to getting back into balance. So it's a support system for the body.
That
And
makes
yeah, it's just so many great benefits. I go on Dr. Axe on his website, and he talks about it. Yeah, most of us think of it, yeah, it's a candy flavoring.
Well, I was gonna say I would take it in a pill form, in a capsule form, but I would
Yeah.
not eat licorice. If
No,
I don't have to taste it, I'm happy.
yeah, I know, right? Probably not the same as the root basically in a tea is really different from eating the little, what was it, the little things
And see, I love
Twizzlers.
licorice. Anyway,
I used to eat those, the licorice, what do you call them?
Twizzlers.
The Twizzlers. Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to love those things, but this is different. This is actually the root itself. It's actually in my tea that I've been drinking while we've been doing this. So
That's different.
If you
Yeah.
get a sweet taste to the tea, like if you don't like sugar in your tea, that licorice gives it a nice sweet.
it does. It does.
Tea.
Yeah.
So it's like a natural sweetener.
Yeah,
I like
it is. It is. It's 50 times sweeter than sugar. So it's that's why our ancestors were so inspired to turning it into candy.
Mhm.
But it's an anti-inflammatory. So think about it. If my body's inflamed, everybody's body's inflamed. I'm sorry, people. I don't know of anybody that does not have inflammation going on in their body, no matter how healthy they are.
Well,
Then-
we're combating against it on a daily basis. I
We
mean,
are.
everywhere we go, our environment, our situation
Everything.
that we're coming up against. I mean, this is the root of what we're talking about today. We're talking about overcoming depression and anxiety. I mean,
yeah.
there's inflammation in our body that's helping to contribute to that.
Yeah.
Exactly. It helps with
How do
cough,
we mitigate that?
coughs and colds. So mixing that with the elderberry that I'm drinking right now, and the turmeric, and the astragalus that I'm putting in my water, and then I do the tea to help with the lowering of my heart rate. So yeah, it's all of these things synergistically working together that's helping me to create a environment to help my body heal. So.
Yep. So that's great. So that is number 5, and now we're gonna move on to the big one, number 6, releasing emotions. That is like Lisa is our thing, but definitely Lisa's for the emotion queen over here. Do you want to kick that off, Lisa?
Sure. So, we're talking about, emotions and eating, but yeah, they creep into every part of our life, don't they? Little devils.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. They affect everything.
Well,
We
and
try
Aubrey,
not to let them too. We're like, I'm just feeling this way, but
and Aubrey, you were talking about dealing something, with last week and emotionally, and how, you have a support system, and that was working with your plants that day.
yeah. And it might be different on any given day. It's like, where we opened up and talked about like having a toolkit, like there are many methodologies. There are many ways. And it's just tapping in and saying, okay, what do I need right now?
Yeah.
What's going to help me to feel better? What's going to help me to heal? Not just, I don't like to say just feel better, because like, okay, you can use a lot of stuff to just cope. You can eat a bag of Cheetos and you might feel better for the next like 20 minutes ish, while you're binging Netflix. But if that stuff keeps coming up, it's like, okay, how do you actually tangibly heal?
Yeah.
And create healthfulness within your body, within your soul, within your spirit, your emotions, your mind, like all of the above. Because like for me, that's my number one value, right? So I spent a lot of time throughout the year of 2016 working through and prioritizing like what are my most important values. And for a long time, like when I was growing up, I came from crazy, turbulent childhood, and, you know, didn't have the love that I had hoped for, you know, or that's depicted in the Disney movies. And I would put love first at any cost. Well, now, you know, at that point in 2016, I had reformulated and said, wait, I want health first. I want healthy. And then, you know, maybe it's love, connection, freedom, enjoyment, etc.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you know, life triggers those emotions. We don't realize, and I'll tell you, when I first discovered the emotion code by Dr. Bradley Nielsen, he was talking about, you know, he said something happens, maybe it's an event, maybe it's a person, I don't know, that's, you know, rubbed you the wrong way. All of a sudden this emotion comes to the surface and you're thinking, wait a minute, I know where this is coming from. It's a deja vu moment. Been here, done that. Oh my gosh, this is related to that childhood event. Are you kidding me? How is that possible? I thought I was over that.
Hate it, but it's real.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's understanding
It's those early development years that we formulate our, you know, idea of what life and the world is like.
Yep. Or false beliefs too.
Yeah. Sometimes, like I said, people are very, I'm not saying that we're all impressionable, but we grow up in a certain mindset or condition from, you know, your peers, your parents. And sometimes that, again, we lose our authentic self and we morph into other people's self-belief systems instead of our own. So again, it's about finding the path to you and releasing the expectation of thinking like everyone else.
Yeah.
But that may not be the same for you.
Or thinking like anybody else.
Well, yeah, thinking, well, and we're not taught that. I mean, I hate to say this, but you know, you want the child to be able to speak. And as soon as the child starts speaking, you say, sit down, shut up. So we're giving a lot of mixed signals to children, whether, you know, they're our children, whether they're, you know, students, whomever. And it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm talking, you know, or you're like an adult. Well, I'm talking right now. You know, you're supposed to be listening to me. You're supposed to be heeding my advice. Well, you know, that's why God gave them a brain as well. And they're trying to develop that brain, and they're looking for us for those cues with the emotions. And they see the emotions. By the way, I was laughing because I said something the other day, how, you know, my children used to really push my buttons. They knew how to push my buttons, okay? Because they knew how to trigger those emotions. They're very smart. So it's finding out what those emotions are that are attached to those events and literally just taking them and scooping them up and giving them back to the universe. Discarding them, letting them go, releasing them, and removing them. And when we do that, we're kind of cleaning out. So we're cleaning out those that emotional baggage, I guess you might call it. You know,
I can see that.
You used to go on vacation and I pack all my bags and I get there and there's that invisible bag that came with me that I thought I left at home that has all the emotions in it. I thought I left you at home. What are you doing here? You know, they come with us, you know, wherever we go. So it's recognizing those events, being able to dissect those events. I use the Sedona method as well. It's a great way to find out, you know, those false beliefs around that emotion. And I'm supposed to feel this way, and I'm supposed to do this, and I was taught how to do this. And it's reorganizing the brain and literally, again, you know, scooping out those old emotions and tossing them out so that we can make room for all of this new wonderful, you know,
Fresh ideas and
living the life we were meant to live, right? Experiencing the emotions we were meant to experience, like peace and freedom and
the things that you actually want versus the things that you've actually, you know, the way that you've actually been handling it. I mean, for me, I've found it very helpful to dig deep into, okay, what were those events? What did they mean? What do they have to teach me? And how can I use them to take me towards the way that I want to go?
Yeah.
You know, I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to be successful, whatever that definition is to me. How can I use things that sucked?
Yeah. Yeah.
To put it, you know, in very, very plain terms.
Yeah.
To help me towards those ends. Because at the end of the day, I mean, like, we're all going to come across things that, you know, aren't going to feel good, or people that disrespect us, or anything, hurt us. How do we grow from that and not internalize it, take it onto our personal, you know, self-esteem? Yeah. In our body, in our soul, and actually use it for constructiveness, you know?
I tell people all the time, because for that issue right there, because sometimes people can say things that would trigger you to fall low, or to get into or travel into a thought that will take you back to your past. I call it unpleasant memories. Sometimes people just tap into it just to see a reaction. But I always tell people, you know, sometimes it's good to go, especially when the emotion is very, very overwhelming, like it's so big. Like depression to me is a very big emotion.
It is.
In a collective thought, memory, situation. So sometimes I've had people come to me and it's so big that they can't even dissect where to begin.
Mm-mm.
And I tell people the key, sometimes when you have, like you go to work and somebody says something or a trigger that affects you, write it down, but be very detailed on the vision of how that person was looking at you, how they, like, were they kind of coming at you in a malicious way, were they smiling at you and saying it, were they coming to you with like a little squint in their eye and saying it, so that's to get you a little and then write down how you felt exactly, like be very detailed to the point where you're re-seeing it again, and then say, because a lot of times when we hold depression is when we didn't say enough, and we hold it in. And I tell people to write what you would have said, and write what would you have reacted, so you could come back to that strong self-esteem of being present in that surrounding of someone who's kind of rubbing you, pushing you against yourself. So I tell people, you know, that when you start to write down those type of impactful emotions or feelings, that weeks down the road you can look back on it and become much stronger from it. But sometimes when it gets so big, you can't dissect it all. Like they come to me and she'll help me dissect my emotions, and I'm looking at like, I see 182 emotions.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think you have a very, very powerful point there is, and I was studying up on this recently. It's like talk therapy. Okay. So we can go into that realm for a second.
Yeah.
Is helpful. Yes. It has a place, right? It's a methodology. But however, you're still talking to another human being, and you might be susceptible to framing it in a certain way that makes you feel better in front of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling, personal documentation, just writing, you know, maybe it's on digital, you know, because you don't feel like taking a pad and pen out, is so powerful because it is you and your thoughts. That's it. No judgment, no criticism, nothing.
That's what self-realization comes in.
And you're right, because that's a great way to process through this instead of just burying it. Because what we do typically is we put it in a box, a Pandora's box, by the way.
And this is good for kids.
And then all of a sudden, you know, years later, it opens up and they all just start to pour out. It's
huge.
Yeah. So
I see that in kids a lot. Like I have clients come to me with their kids and they get bullied in school, but they're so hurt by it, by being bullied or feeling low, that when they come to me, it's like a big like they're stuck in depression, like they can't get out. And the key fact was they don't know how to get other people to see that they're a loving individual.
No, and think about it. We talked about the vibration or the frequency. So in depression and anxiety, that's on a very low end of the scale. So around
All that.
75 hertz maybe, and it starts to go down from there. So
Right.
that's about midway. You want to raise that vibration or that frequency, and that's what I talk about with the emotional scale. And we want to be up here where love is, which is 500 hertz. We don't want to be down here where 50 hertz or 70, because what happens that we pull that down and we lower that, that's when disease sets in. It's because we're so low with our vibration that you just can't get over it. You're kind of in a hole or a well. That's what I used to describe myself when I had depression, was I felt like I was at the bottom of a well and I was trying to crawl my way up out of it. And it was like a 50-foot well. So that's what it feels like. And the anxiety that plays into that too. It's so important, like I said, that we do understand that we do have those emotions and that we do the due diligence to, whether it's you're using visual, therapy or stimulation, whether it's using that emotion code or whatever to help you understand the way you felt. And people, they always say, well, I'm angry. Well, you're not angry. You feel angry. I can feel happy and I can feel love. I choose to feel angry.
Yeah.
Lisa, do you remember the book that talks about the different frequencies? I listened to one on Audible. Gosh, it was like 2 years ago, and it gave examples of, here are the lower frequency emotions.
There is a meme. I hate to call it a meme, but it's on. There's a meme out there that actually shows all the frequencies of every emotion. I gotta find it.
Okay.
I have a website that I can send people to.
It's shocking.
We can include all of that in the resources. It came to mind whenever you were talking about that, because I remember specifically seeing that and saying, wow, look at the power of the emotions and which direction that they take us.
Very interesting, because it lists like the frequency of not only the emotions, but of all the organs.
Yeah, we need that. We need to hear that one. Because I tell people all the time that the actions you make, like sometimes people think, like I said, I deal with a lot of clients. And sometimes clients come to me with not the best intentions on their own lives. They come to me to seek guidance, but their intentions to themselves. I tell people, remember what frequency you deliver to other people. Because if you're delivering shame, or you're saying the frequency of cheating, lying to someone, deceit, that frequency is what you send out. And then you say you're a loving person. You have to remember what you're saying and choosing, and the decisions you make is all based out of your emotions, and releasing those fears. And well, I can go deep into that, so I'm not going to run off to a tangent. But I just want everybody to know that you have to really, really write down your emotions so you have a clear thought to make decisions. Again, releasing, that will help you alleviate from depression.
Yeah, shame is the lowest frequency there is. It's around 20 hertz.
And the same thing for children. Children need to learn to write more.
Yeah.
And find expressive ways to express themselves, like, who am I? So that they can also alleviate from depression and anxieties.
Yeah. I mean, it's even lower than depression and anxiety, shame. And I may have mentioned it before, but that's where Robin Williams was. He had
a couple of people out there.
Yeah.
Currently on TV, I'm not going to say their names, but they currently are in the frequency of shame, and they look fine, but I'm like, no, they're in the frequency of shame.
It is hard to get out of that frequency. You really need a support system at that point. Huge.
Yeah. You need a lot of loving support when you're in that frequency.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, that one's a big topic. That one we could definitely spend a couple hours on.
I know, right?
That one you could really go into it.
Yeah.
However.
So the next one is exercise, and that's Arbery. Go for it, girl.
Yeah, no. So I really wanted to jump in when we were doing number one earlier, when we were talking about meditation and yoga. Because for me, okay, so what's my background with understanding meditation? I was putting myself out there. When I was in the 6th grade, 11, 12 years old, I was in a group home. And one of the therapies that they gave to us was the gift of leading us through guided meditation. And I didn't realize it until a couple of years after I started exercising and running. I got really into running. It was 2010. And it was therapy to me. Like, I went through a really hard year in 2012. I went through a big breakup, separation, divorce, all that kind of stuff. And running was a healthy coping mechanism for me. It allowed me to quiet my mind, silence my thoughts, and just kind of like work through things emotionally. But going through, exercise, when you're in a place where you're depressed or anxious, like you're feeling heavy, it can be challenging to say, okay, yeah, let me get up and go outside today and at least go for a walk. Like, I'm not, yes, I like running. I'm not going to be the person that says, you need to run. It's hard on the body. It's hard on the knees. If you don't have, the ideal body for it, and not everybody's built the same. It's not the optimal exercise for everybody, but everybody can walk, everybody can find something that is in line with their interests, their desires, their need for expression, and also their body type. Some people are built, they should lift heavy things and throw them across the room. I'm not that person. I'll be the one that goes out for, a 10-mile run or something like that. It's about like kind of researching that and learning that and saying, okay, but at the end of the day, before even all of that research and everything, what is of interest to me? Did you dance when you were younger? Was that something that dropped off? Is, a physical yoga practice something that would be good? Maybe try that. And I'm always like supporting people and saying, hey, try different things. Like when clients come to me, I'm very interested in what their active hobbies either are or have been in the past, because one, how can I encourage you to, pursue, maybe physically you can't do the same thing. Okay. If you were into lacrosse and that was 40 years ago, maybe we find something else, but that suits the same desire kind of thing. Right. Something along those lines. So, and I'm also a fan of, it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours a day, just be active. Sheila, you walk your dog 15 minutes 3 times a day. That's 45 minutes.
Yep.
That's awesome. And then you're also, not only are you getting the physical exercise, the movement of your body, but you're getting, I don't know if you listen to something whenever you're going out or if you just kind of pay attention to the world.
Sometimes I'm all about listening to nature, that's to me music too. Yep.
Yeah. But you're getting outside, you're getting that environmental grounding as well. You're connecting with your creature. Mine's sleeping over there right now.
Yeah, Mom's too weird.
He's like upside down. He's like,
Mine's over here sunbathing.
So. There's so many benefits that you can group together in terms of physical movement of your body. And it's just figuring out, okay, what is of interest to you? What do you desire? And how do you pursue that? Try a couple of things. Seek out coaches, seek out somebody who can take you to where you want to go, you know, and have a conversation, see if it resonates with you, you know. Don't talk to the dude at the, I don't want to single them out, but the dude at the CrossFit gym and be like, I don't really think that's for me, therefore exercise is not for me. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Me, I was like, I would love to have J-Lo's body, but not the way she did it. I mean, J-Lo, the way she moves 30 miles a day. I would love to with J-Lo, but not do what she does, because I don't know if I can do what she does.
No.
But love to her level of fitness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And everybody has a place that they're starting from too.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of exercise and moving your body, you know, maybe the recommendation of 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your lifetime is not the right one. My Apple Watch, for example, if I go for a 5-mile run, okay, it takes about an hour, will then tell me the rest of the day on the hour if I'm sitting to get up and move. And I'm like, do you know what I did already? Do you know how many steps are already on my pedometer? You know?
Yeah.
So I'll get aggravated at it for that. Rest is also important between exercise, you know, so everybody's going to have different needs for movement and needs for rest and recovery. And it's really important to honor both. And I think the underlying point that I'm trying to get there is paying attention to what your body is telling you. Like Lisa, I remember maybe it was a year and a half ago, you were telling me about, you know, you got up and you did some yoga poses, and that was where you were at. That was it. Then you were like, and then I rested, you know, because you were going through your thyroid. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, it is and I forget the quote, but it's a balance between rest and movement, you know. It's giving the body time to recover. And that, like I was talking about that young man in my class, and he's like, you know, what's wrong with my knee? It keeps, you know, well, he's not giving it time to recover. Or, you know, maybe we're doing the shots, you know, maybe we're using the lidocaine and whatever, that little cocktail to
cortisone shots,
to numb the pain. Well, that doesn't help the body heal. It just numbs the pain. So what are we doing? And I'm sure there's stretches that you have. I'm sure there are wonderful things that we could do to help that body still stretch and still be able to give it to that time to repair, and not go, like you said, not go out and run 30 miles or go to boot camp. Yeah, right away, this says boot camp, I'm not involved. I know that's not what I could do right now. I know that's not what my body can do, or is that good for me to do right now with my body? So, but someone like you that could help me just figure out, okay, well, let's figure out some kind of a plan here, because there are days where those napcations get in the way, don't they, Sheila?
But to backtrack a little bit too, there is no shame in that. It's working with what you've got.
Yeah.
And taking it towards the vision of what you'd like to have.
Yes.
And that's going to look different for every single person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's important to honor that. There's no shame.
I cried the first day I was able to go out and go walk, because I was basically bedridden for 3 months. I couldn't do anything. I could barely get up and eat and go to the bathroom and then go back to bed. So I mean, it was so beautiful that day that I was able to get up and go take a walk. I cried, and I did that this past Easter. You know, I was able to go out and run around the yard with my granddaughter, and I cried when I went home, because it was so precious to me that I hadn't been able to do that. So it's being grateful for just that little improvement.
Yeah. That's how I was too. Angela, I couldn't make it up a flight of stairs. without being winded. So now I can run up the stairs, but still,
Woo!
I can't. But so I tell people all the time, let's
Yeah.
take things slow. Let your body know what you need, and then slowly go into it. Again, don't over push yourself, but flow into the rhythm of moving forward.
I told Sheila lately, all I've been seeing is the little turtle.
Yep.
You remember the story?
It's okay to go slow.
The turtle and the hare. You know who won? Well, the turtle did.
Turtle did.
He did. So
It sure did.
I've seen that little turtle about 5 times lately. In other words, slow and easy, slow and steady wins the race.
You can still push for results slowly.
Yeah.
You can still push for results slowly.
No.
Yeah. One of the statements that I've used with many of my clients is like, y'all, baby steps. We're not going to conquer it in a day.
No.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens when you
from
go
0 to 100.
You go into beast mode when you go to the gym, trying to I'm gonna get the abs in 3 days.
Right. It's motivating, but is it realistic?
Yeah. Right.
I love that. So to lead off to the next topic, and I think this next topic is number 8, limiting alcohol and caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally wanted to put this one in here.
Yeah. That was a good one because a lot of people don't know, like I always tell people the number 1 culprit for kids, Mountain Dew, for high stress, high anxiety, depression.
Yep.
They love Mountain Dew. When I see that truck ride by Virginia, VCU, like you see the little promotion truck, I was like, look, this is why the kids are stressed out, can't sleep, and then wondering why they're having crippling nerve, like the nervous system is crippling, because they're so anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's the culprit. It's the caffeine. The caffeine will make you, and then you try to mix it with medication of the downer. Like I'm gonna take a Xanax and I'm gonna drink a Mountain Dew. I'm like, well, you just messed that up with the caffeine. Yeah. So I tell everybody, don't like the drinks for the young people.
Yeah.
That those Red Bulls. They're addicted to it. Those strong Starbucks coffee, the little shots that's in the store. It's okay to drink it once in a while, but not 3 times, 4 or 5 times a day. And then you become addicted to it.
It's a high. And what happens is they come down off the high. And they don't like that. They don't like that.
Right.
I want to get high again.
Oh, wait, I'm used to going 1,000 miles an hour. I can't do that without this. Okay, well, then I'll just keep drinking this.
Yep.
To quote Top Gun, you're going Mach 2 with your hair on fire.
Wow, I like that one.
I mean, and that's what, it's like, okay, wait a minute. I can't slow down. I've got to get this done. I've got to get this done. And at one point, and I was trying to see if I can find it. It was an article I read about young mothers. They are addicted to Adderall.
Oh.
Because they can't. Not the kids, the moms, because they can't, you know what? We're supposed to be able to do everything. We're supposed to be able to bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan, to quote an old song. And, we're supposed to be bringing this money home and doing this and doing that and being Wonder Woman. And we can't do it. And what we are finding is these poor women are just, they're trying to breastfeed the baby at the same time they're typing their emails on the other hand, and it doesn't work. So
Right.
Same thing with alcohol, limiting alcohol as well. I see that being a culprit as well. And some of us, and I know a couple of young people, in their, I would say 28, they're young, 28 years old, and they have this thing about having a drink after you get off work. And every time they get off work, they have a drink. But that drink is 1 bottle, so it's not a glass of wine.
One glass of wine.
A whole bottle.
One glass.
So, and I'm thinking, mom's like, "Oh, you had a glass of wine?" No, I had a whole bottle. I'm like,
so they're supersizing it.
That's very, very mainstream and like socially accepted these days.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And then they go on the weekend.
By the way, whenever you wake up sluggish the next morning, better get that double shot of, caffeine so that you can get your day rolling again.
Yeah.
And the cycle just like continues.
I'm like, how do you function after 4 days of drinking every night, you know, and then you really kill it on the weekend and come back on work on Monday.
I see it in my students' journals.
Yep.
And I ask them to describe their sleep. You know how they describe it? Drunk sleep. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's not, because
I appreciate that though. That's real.
they have to describe their sleep to me, and in the journal it goes drunk sleep.
Which means I woke up 3 hours after I fell asleep hard.
Well,
And
yeah.
I kind of got back to sleep and slept in.
If I was
until I had
lucky,
to get up.
if I was lucky, I got back to sleep, because what's going to happen 3 or 2 hours later is you're going to wake up, you're going to have to pee, and you're going to have to drink water, because you're you got cotton mouth now because you drank so much liquor. And so is it helping with their sleep? They think it is, but it's not, because it's interrupting their sleep. Yeah.
I think, you know, one thing that I really wanted to mention along this topic, you know, to bring it back to the depression and anxiety, is that so many people will use, you know, we can say both of them, alcohol and caffeine, as coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Yeah.
For feelings that they don't want to feel with. I got stressed out at work. Somebody made fun of me. You know, somebody didn't like my idea. Etc. You know, you can put many, many, many scenarios in there. And if we're covering it up or just using different substances to quote unquote fix that, or just really actually to make us feel better about it, then we're not actually using the skills that maybe we previously developed, or maybe we need to develop in order to actually handle it in a productive way that helps us in the future. You know, using a glass of wine at the end of the day, you know, to de-stress, you know, does that actually accomplish it?
They're self-medicating.
Yeah,
Right.
It's okay to do it in moderation, but when it comes to the point where it becomes a little bit of a clutch, then that's going to cost you. It's going to show up eventually somewhere.
Well, you know, the day that, or time that I fell, we were at the, I used to drink a lot. I don't know why I thought that would help depression. Anyway, I know
it's a depressant. Damn it.
But you know, it's a depressant.
It makes you even more depressed.
But the time that we're actually in a place where we're playing pool, and I was so drunk that I fell off the chair and landed on the floor, and the drink landed on me, and I've got like fruit, you know, all over my head. And my husband took a picture of it, and you know, I can laugh at it now, but he showed me the picture. It was devastating for me to see myself like that, because it wasn't funny. And that's when that was 17 years ago. And I said, you know, obviously the drinking does not mix well with my depression. So something's got to go. And I'd like the depression to go, but first we're going to get rid of the alcohol. I stopped drinking. And guess what? We lost a lot of friends. Because guess what they were? They were drinking friends. And they said, oh, come on, go out with us. We'll make you happy. I don't want your solution, which is drinking more, because that's not going to make me happy. And it was realizing after seeing that picture of myself lying on the floor with a drink on top of me, you know, and I was going to have children at one point. So yeah, that kind of hit home hard for me, that I was a drunk, and I was depressed, and I needed to sober up and realize that that's just not what I wanted my life to be like anymore.
Yeah, I think everybody would have like a varying experience, you know. I hear where you're coming from, and I've seen that, and I understand that. My mom was an alcoholic, so not that I'm putting you in that category, but just that I've seen that, you know, it can have a lot of like just not pleasant effects. And I've done the, you know, let me not drink at all, and then I lost friends. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I agree with Sheila whenever she's saying, hey, moderation. And then I'll add to that too, moderation and the right mindset, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, you know why you're doing it. Hey, if you're celebrating something, going out for fun, you know, cool.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to cover up something because you don't like how it feels, then maybe reevaluate it, you know?
Well, I was also on an antidepressant. So I was on an antidepressant. Alcohol was definitely not going to mix with that. So
yeah. That's a
was,
cocktail.
and I coming from a family, well, my brother was an alcoholic. I had an uncle that was an alcoholic, and someone else, they just said, I thought he was just depressed. They said, no, he just drinks a lot. So depression, alcohol, anxiety, all in my family. Going back quite a ways. So I thought it was time to change the genetics here.
Woo!
Yeah.
So number 9.
Number 9.
Sheila, I haven't heard your voice in a minute. And
I know, right? Are you there? Where'd she go?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I did that. So just talking with visualizing a happy memory is one of my favorite to-do lists for depression or for negative, like your mind just kind of takes over. So I learned this from a pranic healer teacher. He talks about how to instill happiness. And he says, you know, for every thought, you have to replace it with a happy memory. And he said, if you're stuck in a negative mindset or you're stuck in depression, what vision would you want to be stuck in? And he says, now I want you to think about the memory that is your happiest memory. He says, sometimes people look at their mother as their happy memory, a pet as their happy memory. He said, but now see it giving you love on a continuous basis and stay in that moment for about 5 to 10 minutes and just seeing that happiest point of your life. And I use, I never rode a horse before. And you know, that day he was like, think of a happy memory. And I was like, one of my happiest memories was connecting to a horse. And the horse kept looking back at me with his big old eyes and seeing if I was going to fall off of it, you know, because, you know, I was not a rider. And I told myself that was one of the most touching connections to an animal I've ever had, especially a big one like that. I mean, I was freaking out on an elephant. But when I had a connection to the horse and rode through the nature trail with the horse, and he said, now visualize that memory and stay in it. And I use that memory a lot in meditation, visualizing me walking with the horse, going to a nature trail, and looking back, you know, turning his head and looking back at me with his big old eyes, and I could feel that love connection. So I tell people all the time, using something that is a very happy, your wedding day, when a person proposed to you, or that very intimate moment where that person make you feel whole, your connection to your child looking up at you with those adoring eyes, or your pet, adoring eyes, and holding on to that memory, but using that memory for like at least 3 to 5 minutes and then increasing it to 10. Especially if you suffer a lot of fear, depression. You know, sometimes people have better connections with their grandmother than their mother. So I'll say, see your grandmother, you know, encouraging you, sending you love, and have her like actually facing you in the memory. And when you close your eyes, have people kind of hold on to those sweet, tender moments of going to church with the person, riding in the backseat of a car, them giving you a soda pop. You know, all those type of memories is why I want you to kind of start collecting. And people's like, I never thought about that. And then they have to think about collecting happy memories so that when they go through these moments, they're adding to the arsenal of happiness. I said, this is your idea. This is the reversal of depression, when you start to switch and focus and attract more collective happy thoughts that you actually had or you have forgotten. And a lot of people forget happy memories. People forget that there are they actually got an honor roll student in school, or they got a praise in school, or their friends say, wow, you're really good at this, but they don't remember it. People could tell you I love you 16,000 times and you won't hear it.
Yep.
And so some people, sometimes you may need to sit off to yourself and recall those memories of when somebody told you, I love you. And then to hold it for 3 to 5 minutes to 10 minutes and increase it. Peter told me he loved me, and I didn't hear him at the time he said it. But now I can realize that he said it genuinely. He said it sincerely. He wasn't forced or had to say it for a reason. He just naturally said that. So I tell people that's the key to boosting your self-esteem. People are, wow, you did a really good job, job at passing your school or education, whatever it is that is a happy memory. Hold on to it and collect them. And so that when you go through these moments of self-doubt, like a business owner, oh, my business is not doing great. But remember when it was doing great. Remember when somebody praised you, hey, one client, oh my God, that was the best session I've ever had. Well, hold on to it like a plum. Like it is the most valuable plum in the world. Because that seed will actually help you attract another happy collective moment.
Yeah, that's so true. Gosh, I remember my first two years in business. I was like up, down, up, down, up, down. And then like I was reaching the 2-year mark and I was like, man, how am I going to pay the rent this month?
Yep.
And I was like so stressed out. And it was like that moment where I had to decide, okay, either like, the people that I weighed, like, here are the people, here are the stories that I've got, the people that I've helped. And here, well, there's the potential people out there that I can still continue to, but I don't know yet because I'm focused in right here on this challenge. And I had to recommit and say, okay, this is good and it's helping people and I'm going to keep doing it. But
that's the key.
I fully agree with the memories.
We all have amazing talents. And I feel like sometimes our self-esteem make us forget that we are talented individuals and that presenting your best but remembering when you're at your best and then using it as a collective to keep doing it to the next person. I had this memory. Let me see if I can achieve that same happy memory with the next person. Let me connect with that person. But remember, it's you. Your self-esteem is attached to the vision about your self-worth and your happiness. So when I see a lot of people who are in like really like troubling relationships, or they've been in a very long relationship, marriage, and they kind of lose themselves and they forget when they were happy. And the woman may remember her happy times, but the husband may not. Well, all we do is fight. All we do is she nags. I'm like, well, can you remember a time that you two never had an argument? Like, and then it takes them a minute. It's a faster memory to be negative and think of something negative than a time where she was really genuine and she wasn't defensive and she was really at ease. Now, how can you recreate that same collective memory? And remember, I said collective, not that's one memory. Now, what's the next memory? What's the next memory? To kind of shift the dynamic of negativity that we can sometimes use as a defense mechanism, and we don't realize that now we use that as a weapon to the next person. So
it's that focus.
Yep. So,
well, and actually, there's a therapy called cognitive refocusing therapy. You're describing it. They're using that with PTSD and helping them to learn how to sleep better. Or the PTSD is bringing nightmares. So the cognitive refocusing therapy is helping them to be able to refocus again on something else, and to be able to help them to sleep better at night. Good stuff.
Yes, that one, and then we got the last one. Make plans to look forward to. That's my other favorite one.
I know.
So
my favorite.
Yeah. To me, the last one to kick off the future. When you're depressed, you can't see forward, or you see forward, but it's not. It's kind of I call it bleak. Yes. And what we do is, again, that's why I use visualize happy memories before you start to plan your future. So when you start to use that collective memory of happiness, and then say, okay, now let me project to the future of my relationship, my job, my career, whatever your money, whatever it is, you have to move forward with a see myself in a happy space. of achievement. Always tell people to plan going to the movies. The easiest thing is for someone who's really going through a lot, and I get this as a number one response. I don't have any friends. Nobody likes me. But that's what she's saying is nobody likes me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's the collective memory that you're holding in. We got to shift that from remember when people say, oh my God, you're so great. Oh my God, I love hanging out with you. But she said, but people fail to commit. I was like, well, see, again, we got to look beyond ourselves. That to me is a deeper aspect. But the thing is that you have to look forward to making plans. And those plans is like going out to a movie or going up to meetup.com and say, I would like to hang out with these like-minded individuals because these are the type of people I want to be friends with. Yeah. And then going to those events and making it, to me, I told another person, every Thursday go to yoga. If you like yoga and you want to hang out with people who are yoga inspired or yoga influenced, then you have to start making the commitment towards the future of doing one thing. I don't care, what it is, but a movie, a yoga event, walking outside with your dog every Thursday night, whatever it is, you should commit to something in the future. If you're thinking about a big goal, like business-wise, and if you're suffering from depression, pressure may not be the key. Maybe easing into something like every Wednesday I'll work on my business one day to give myself time to recuperate and then ease up more and more time. So that's what I would recommend is to think about something as easy as going to the movies every Thursday or every Wednesday night to shift you back to the public, but with a positive mindset, and then doing bigger steps, bigger achievements, bigger projects, and going towards the future. Don't kick off with I'm gonna start a business tomorrow, and you're depressed.
Tear it up.
Yeah,
right.
I'm like, if you ain't stressed, you will be stressed when you start. Let's ease on making it to the grocery store. Let's ease on every Wednesday to the grocery store and not freak out. So ease into your happiness. Ease and think about easy, simple techniques. Hanging out with friends, committing to the spa, committing to your self-care as a way to move forward.
Yes.
And positivity.
Yeah. And you talked about seeing things, and I love using visualization in my class at University of Richmond. And we look at the pictures, and I don't say look at the pictures and describe how you feel. I just say look at the pictures and what do they represent to you? And I've got a picture of the beach, the mountains, and then a really pretty green pasture. So look at these three different pictures, and what do those pictures mean to you? Do any memories come up just by looking at these pictures? And it's so interesting that every single one of them could look at any of those and a memory would come to mind, whether it was the beach or the mountains, or they think of a vacation they went on. So it is that visualization that's very powerful in helping us to refocus.
It's incredibly powerful. Yeah. When so two things that I really like to implement, and I'm not perfect in implementing this, but I like to keep a personal kind of folder, and these days I do it electronically. One of which I was working on last night, which was, now it is February 21st, and I'm still doing this. I just started on it yesterday, but was my 2019 kind of reconciliation. Because for me, I can look back on last year and have a kind of general feeling about it. Oh, I felt burnt out. I felt tired. I felt like I wasn't really on my A game, those kinds of things. But when I actually go through, I was going through my calendar, month by month. Oh, wow, look at that amazing thing that happened. Look at that. And I know, and as I'm looking at these things and processing them mentally now a year later, I can see, wow, there was a lesson in that hardship. Wow, that was a really magical time. Wow, that was a really cool trip. This, that, and the other. And I can see all of the good, whereas my general overall, I feel like my disposition is just it can wind up being critical a lot of times and saying like, man, 2019 was a hard year. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it had a lot of good in it.
Yes.
It had a lot of good.
Yeah.
I recommend
so
people
do
write
that.
down their good.
Huh?
I recommend that people like write 2019 and write all the good things that happened.
Yes.
I like
Every
that.
moment. Yeah, because you'll be really proud of yourself then. You're like, okay, 2019 wasn't as bad as I thought. Because
Right?
a lot. So I
the
like
other
that.
thing the other thing that I really like to do is write out kind of like an annual goals, but I'm not really hard charged on them.
Me too.
So like I started this in, I think it was 2015, maybe 2014. I'm not certain, but again, electronic format so that I can look back on it and edit it and check off the boxes at any time. But like one of my goals specifically that's coming to mind for 2015 was I wanted to fly in an airplane for the first time. And I did.
Yeah.
And it was so exciting to knock off the list. You know, had I not written that down and actually made it a vision to expand my life in that way, would it have happened? Maybe. I mean, I really wanted to do it, so it was still in my like conscious mind. But when I actually had it on paper, revisited it, had it as something that, okay, if at the end of this year I look back and I did this, that would make me happy, then great, you know? So I'll make lists like that on an annual basis. Like one of my ones for this year is I want to go and surf. I have not surfed since I surfed in 2016, and I'm embarrassed to say that because I loved it so much. So I want to go out in the water again and do that. So yeah, I like that, you know, and even as like I discuss that, which is another cool thing, like talking about it in community, is I can visually see that while I'm discussing it.
So like a bucket list, kind of, a little bit of a.
That's the key, but that's the key to getting shift out of depression is start doing, achieving what you love in increments, but build up to it. Because some things are really big, like certain things are really big. So ease into it and don't timeline yourself as well, because you're thinking you have to do it this year. It's not. Just leave it open so that within the next 4th year, whatever, maybe even faster than that, by tomorrow, you'll achieve those goals with ease.
Stop punishing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to be honest, as an example, I had surfing on my list last year.
Yeah.
And don't punish yourself because you didn't meet that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't, you know, it wasn't going to work out. You know, 1, I was tired. 2, I was working all the time. You know, 3, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's pick it up this year. We're still here.
Yeah.
That's like me, because, you know, at one point I said, well, I want to go snow skiing again. And then I stopped myself and I thought, well, you can't do that. I thought, well, why can't I? Well, because you were sick and, you know, you're still trying to get over that. So I want to go snow skiing again. I haven't been.
I love it.
In 10 years, but I want to do it again. I love it. Miss it.
Well, mine is completely different from everybody's. I'm over here like, I would love to meet a spiritual guru.
Hey, I think that's great.
People might think like, I would love to see a spiritual guru, and I like to get a singing bowl set.
Oh,
yeah. Nothing to do like my own personal bowls just for myself. Nothing for clients, but just kind of. So I would like to have that this year, and I like to actually find a really, really like high-spirited spiritual guru.
Yeah.
Or shaman. But yeah, that's what I would like. I've been watching for us. The spirit, bring it to me, bring it to me. Food, love, eat, pray, type of moments.
Hey, it's possible. Anything's possible.
Yep. So that's the leap I'm looking forward to. So
yeah.
All right, guys. This is our top 10.
Yeah.
Double the top 10. And do you want to close it out, Lisa?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is our first workshop, guys. So we'd love your feedback and like to hear from you what it is you would like to see in a workshop. It's hopefully not our last, that we want to help you guys get on the road to living that life that you were created for and enjoying it and being able to have those support systems and the guidance that you need to accomplish that. So kind of, you know, help you on your road to wherever it is you want to go. And, you know, you do it with the spirit, the mind, and the body, and, you know, have that freedom, you know, and now that I'm starting to feel that emotion again, wow, I will tell you, that kind of brought tears to my eyes the other day again. It's like freedom, man. I can do anything I want to do, and I will no longer be, you know, directed by, you know, this depression or anxiety I've had in the past, because I now have the resources to achieve the best life that's there for me. I'm going to create the world that I want to live in, and then I want to go live in it. So.
There you go. That's it. You got to create your own vision, and it starts from within. So, yeah. So, all right, guys.
All right.
Until next time.
Until we meet again.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.